I'm proud of myself in the fact that I feel like I am resilient and I'm good at pivoting, and when things change, we just change with it and we figure it out.
Welcome to the Bold Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jen Kinal, and this is a space where bold moves meet inspired action. Join us as we dive into stories, strategies, and mindset of those who are building their dreams, creating impactful communities, and redefining success on their terms. Whether you're looking for practical business tips, a boost of inspiration, or a community that gets your vision, you are in the right place. Get ready to elevate your journey and embrace what it means to be a bold founder. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Bold Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jen Kinal, and today I am so excited to have Cara Cotter with us, the visionary entrepreneur and creative force behind So Pretty by Cara Cotter, a jewelry brand that is absolutely loved, is timeless, modern, and its approachable designs. Cara began her journey in 2004 as she was a self-taught jewelry designer driven by a passion for creating beautiful, unique pieces that are as versatile as they are luxurious. Through the years of dedication and hard work, she's grown So Pretty by Cara Cotter to include a design office, 2 gorgeous storefronts, and a talented team of 10. Her jewelry has been sold in places like Bloomingdale's, the Breakers Palm Beach, featured in the Jilly Box, and highlighted through collaborations like Poppy Barley, Fresh Living, and Charlie Goss Style. Beyond her stunning designs, Cara is known for building meaningful connections with her community, her team, and customers. Today we'll talk about the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, the power of collaboration, and how Cara's events have become such a special part of her business. So let's get started. Cara, I'm so excited you're here. We were just telling you before we started recording how much I just absolutely adore your brand and what you've built and the community you've built, and there's just so much love for you. So I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you. You're making my day, and thank you for having me, and I'm excited to connect with you today.
So why don't you tell me how did So Pretty come about, and how exactly did you start it to build to what it is now today? The shortened version, because that's a lot.
I'll give you the Coles notes. It started a very long time ago. I think I, was in school, very traditional route, went into chemistry, worked in a chemistry lab, but I really wasn't passionate about it. I didn't come from an art family, so there wasn't that part of my brain wasn't really, they did their best, and I love my family, but I grew up in rural Alberta, and there aren't the programs that there are now, and so I just went a very traditional path, but always found myself reaching for teaching myself how to do things, whether it was oil painting or sewing or baking. I'm a huge baker. Anything that's crafty or has anything to do with art, I was always throwing myself into it any way I possibly could. And I've always loved fashion. And I remember I had a party, I had a girlfriend, bunch of girlfriends came over, and one of my girlfriends had a pair of turquoise earrings on, and I could not stop staring at them. And I thought, I think I could make those. And then over the years, I taught myself how to make jewelry, did a ton of research, traveled to gem shows. I just totally threw myself into it, but it was really just a hobby. And I had a full-time job, I was working, but then started to get wholesale accounts. And I did that for quite a few years, probably about 10 years, where I had about 20 retailers, just sold through them, made all the jewelry myself. And then eventually we got too big where I was burnt out. I couldn't make everything myself, but I built those connections with the makers that I bought all my gemstones and my metals from. And they had offered to start helping me make my pieces. So very slowly we handed over rings at first, because they're the most time consuming, and then slowly they took over everything for me, and it wasn't overnight, but it was really helped my business take it to the next level.
So that's really cool. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I mean, you do realize it because you don't see it. It's not like in front of you. But I think it's very cool that you've built these incredible relationships, and then when you're ready to go to the next level, they're there ready to support you. And so that is really quite a cool behind the scenes aspect that I think a lot of businesses don't realize happens.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have the foresight. I didn't really understand the jewelry business when I first started. I didn't know it was all, again, self-taught. And you can see some of the photos behind me. Those are our makers and those relationships we've built. We've gone to India to visit with our studio there. And I think if you put the hard work in and you do a lot of years, those opportunities arise. You may not know what they're going to be, but I think if you put the time in and you work and you stay true to what you want, it does. It's things don't happen overnight, but if you put the time in, they will, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so you opened your second store, which I got to go to the launch party, and it was so beautiful. And you could tell that every person there had touched your heart in a way and absolutely adored you. And it was such an amazing space to be in, like so positive and uplifting. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what it's like to have the two storefronts and the locations and how that has helped you connect with your customers.
We've gone back and forth. I started with wholesale, and then I moved into retail when our wholesale started to change and realized we had a really good community here in Edmonton. And I've always wanted to open in St. Albert, but trying to find a space was quite tricky. We want something under 1,000 square feet with a lot of natural light, with a really cool community feel to it. And so our focus during, like right before COVID and shortly after and for quite a few years, was online. And it still is. It's 70% of our business. But there's something that having a storefront to support the online and people being able to do returns and exchanges and some people still want to see and feel the pieces and aren't comfortable ordering online. So they really do support each other. And the St. Albert store was actually not planned. We thought maybe Calgary would be our next location. But the space became available last December. I was driving by, I noticed the release sign, and it happened very quickly. We jumped on it, we were able to get it, and it's been busy since we opened. And I'm just really grateful to be close to home because I think for 2 seasons I've even sold at the farmers market. So it steps away from that. And so the party was great because it was all of those people that have supported me for the last 20 years now coming to a storefront and celebrating. And it was a lot of customers that have been with me for a long time and dear friends and community members and women in business that I'm friends with. It was a really special opening for me.
Yeah, it was beautiful. You could really feel the energy in that room.
Oh, thank you for being there. It was a fun night.
It was fun. It was really fun. It was beautiful. And I basically get all your emails and then I browse everything and check it all out. So it was really cool to see them all in person and they just sparkle. Like it's so beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, it was really nice. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about some of the brands that you've collaborated with because I think it's really powerful that you've not only collaborated with them, but you've collaborated with them over and over and over again, which really is a testament to the business you've created, your quality of product, and to you as a person because they clearly have really loved your partnerships and continue to do them. So you've partnered with people like Jillian Harris, Poppy Barley, Fresh Living. Like, how did these come about and how have they been impactful in your growth?
Well, I think we first of all, Poppy Barley, I know the founders. I really respect the company. And we follow the people that we follow and we really love and admire. We reach out to them. And if they're well aligned with our brand and we feel like they are a good fit for us, we will approach certain companies and then put together a collection and launch it. And it's been a lot of fun. It's a way to connect with new customers and to keep the business exciting. I always like doing new things, and as an entrepreneur, you're constantly pivoting. And so our partnerships have been a lot of fun for us. It's been great. And Fresh, we just launched our 9th collection for this holiday, and she's adorable. She's such a nice human, and I just I've gotten to know her over the last 4 years, and she's a lovely person and really loves what she does, and you can tell.
That's amazing. Okay, so I'm like the social media planner or manager. So I see the behind the scenes and the DMs, and I see a lot of people who will just go out and pitch you. Like, it's like a cold pitch where they haven't even warmed up to the owner of the company or whatever it is, right? Have you really put a focus on getting to know the person behind the brand before you've pitched them? Or have you
Oh,
gone and
absolutely.
pulled? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I
No,
see a ton of
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, no, we don't just approach random people. It's always people we know. All the brands we've worked with, we've either followed for a really long time and known, especially because it's a huge investment into time and resources and buying the product ahead of time. So it would be way too risky, and I wouldn't feel good about it. Partnering with people that we didn't trust and love and admire, and so we definitely are very careful with our curated selection of brands we work with.
I like that a lot because, like I said, I've seen so many people that they just go and pitch companies. And I'm like, but you're not even following the company, one.
Yeah.
Like, your pitch is not exactly, like, it's not aligned with the brand. You don't say anything. It's almost like it's copy and pasted.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
wanted to bring that up because I do feel like for you to have incredible partnerships, you really need to love the people that you are asking to partner with. And so I knew you do that. I knew you did that, but I wanted to highlight that for our audience because there are so many people that are like, no, just go and send it all the DMs and it's a numbers game. And
No. And do you
Yeah.
find, I'm finding this right now on Instagram and social media in general, there is so much content. There's an overwhelming amount of content. So if I'm browsing and I see somebody that maybe I've followed for a while and they're selling a brand that maybe I can tell it's not as authentic as maybe it should be, I get frustrated. I'm seeing it more and more, and it makes me want to unfollow them. It makes me want to not even be on Instagram. And so, as a company that has a lot of followers and customers for a long time and has a pretty good return customer rate, I would never want our customers to think that we're not genuine or that we care about what we're selling.
Yeah. You can see that there's companies that will send out their product everywhere because they're just looking to get content. Like, they want content for their own social media, and that's how they're doing it. But I think that as an influencer, if you're taking on that product, you need to really love that product in order to sell it effectively. One, people are going to know if you don't actually know very much about the brand and you're just taking what they've given you. They're going to know that you never wear it. If you only post about it once, because that was what you're contracted to do, it's obvious that you are not fully aligned with that brand. There's one brand that I worked with when I was an influencer years ago, and it was Malvados, and they're just sandals and flip-flops, and I loved them.
Yes.
Loved them. And so they were like, when I approached them to work with, or they approached me, I can't even remember, but I love them. I wore them all the time. I tagged them all the time. So when I stopped, even now when I'm not an influencer anymore, I still talk about them because I loved that brand so much, right? Like, so when I talk about it at any point on social media, anyone who's followed me knows that has known that I love this brand, right? So it's authentic, and people are like, okay, totally get it. We've heard this before. Definitely going to go buy those because she's been wearing them for like 10 years, right?
Yes,
like,
for sure. Definitely.
there's a difference, and I wish people would see that.
Yeah, I do think people see it though. I do think that social media has become a bit of a dumpster fire. We love it. I mean, it's our way of communicating our products, and we'll always be on Instagram. That won't change. But I do wish the content wasn't as, like, the level of consumerism and, like you said, selling just to sell and not selling things that you love or that you're actually interested in, and you're selling things just to make money. I'm just not loving that part of it right now.
No, because you know what? As soon as you can get that feeling, you just swipe, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, this
Absolutely.
one's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so my next question for you is, I really love, like, being an events person. I really love how you have incorporated events into your business. Like, you really do celebrate a lot. Like, you celebrate your launches. You have your open, like you had your grand opening. That was a big celebration. You celebrate anniversaries. Like, I just really love how much you bring your community into your business. And I see why, because it is such a nice way to celebrate them and thank them. But I'd love to hear, how has this been an important part of your business, and how has it strengthened your bond and connection with your customers?
Well, first I have to thank Tasha, who's on our team, who has a background in event planning. She always has great ideas for all of our parties. So I have to acknowledge that and thank her for making them really special and unique. And I do think there's something about seeing jewelry in person. We do our best to take very good photos on our models and still life so that you can see the product if you're just purchasing online. But there's something about seeing people in person and connecting with them. And I love all the little details when we have a party and, there's bubbly and there's food and we have little gifts and all those little small touches. I just watched the Martha Stewart documentary and I was in awe of her and how she does all of those things. And I do think it makes a really big difference, all those little tiny details. And if I can make people feel loved and welcome and want to come back and be part of our community, it at the end of the day just makes me so happy. It's part of why I do what I do.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% that like those little details, as little as they seem, like walking in and would you like a glass of champagne or like some non-alcoholic cocktail, like those little details, it's like the instant welcome to the space. We're inviting you in. The gifts are so sweet. Like it's every single touch point you can give that shows people that they are welcome, they're appreciated. It really goes such a long way. And you notice that. Like I noticed that majorly when I came to your launch, your grand opening.
Oh, well, thank you. That's so nice of you to say that. I'm glad.
Yeah.
It was such a good night. It was amazing.
It was fun. It was really nice to see your family come there and support you too. Like it was sweet.
I have a family of boys, so they're a little uncomfortable with all the female energy, but they survived.
I think that's the best part of it. They were like, "Oh, we're here to help support."
And it's cool as teenagers for them to see too. All like they've been with me on this journey since they started, so they've seen all the years of hard work and me in my little workshop in the basement. I've been doing this since before they were born. So they've seen every evolution, whether I'm, in my basement making it or doing home parties or the farmer's market, all of those little steps. So, yeah.
Well, and the really cool thing about that is like my parents were entrepreneurs. And so I've seen from them the hard work that goes into it, but you also see the benefits of it. And like you see their drive and their passion and you see it come to life. And so I really believe that truly
and
molded me into it. Yeah. And resilience
too, because there's so many things that in a business go sideways. And if you melt down and you show them that, then I think the best thing you can do for your kids is show them how to make it work and how to pivot and how to change and not to give up. And when things are really, really hard, I think things that are worth anything are never easy. And I think that's a huge lesson in life.
It's a big, big lesson. And for them to see it like happening right in front of you and then see the turnaround, even though they've seen that it's hard. Business is hard.
It is not.
And there's plenty of days where you were crying because you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But then like the positive side is so amazing. And I'm so happy that my kids get to experience that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the flexibility to be able to be with them for all their hockey games and tournaments. And, when they need me, I have a little bit more flexibility and I can move my schedule around has been like life-changing.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. I make sure that I am able to drive the kids to school and pick them up. Yeah. And I never miss any hockey games or volleyball games. They're my favorite thing. So, yeah. Okay, so speaking about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship, can you share some of your biggest challenges that you faced and what has kept you motivated during those tough times?
I think that we've gone through so many different challenges. I think our first biggest challenge, I would say, would be that transition from wholesale to retail and how we navigate that. When COVID hit, we were very lucky that we had our online business completely set up and our systems in place, because our online skyrocketed. We grew, I think, 800% that year, which is very hard to manage that growth with staff and shipping and inventory. And it was very exciting, but it was also, we also launched the Jilly Box during COVID. So production, which was in India, which was very hard. It was hit very hard with COVID. So there was nights I didn't sleep. Like, will our earrings for the Jilly Box get made? There was 12,000 pairs. Will they arrive on time? Can we get them to, their fulfillment? There was so many things to navigate. So I think growth is hard. And then also now we've seen a swing from online kind of go, like, it went like this, and now it's coming back a little bit. So we've pivoted back to retail a little bit. And so we're not just relying on online. I think the challenge with business is adjusting. When interest rates went up last year, we saw, luckily our business didn't go down, but we did see people, the buying patterns change. They're waiting a little longer, buying more gifts instead of just buying things for themselves. And so we've really, every step of the way, with the economy changing, or with COVID, or with, there's more direct to consumer than there is wholesale now. So pivoting with that, I feel like there's always something. Right now we have the postal strike. So we very quickly got into action to find other reliable drivers, and we're using UPS, and we found a really unique way to save money, but still be able to use them and be able to afford it. So I'm proud of myself in the fact that I feel like I am resilient and I'm good at pivoting. And when things change, we just change with it and we figure it out.
Yeah. I think that's, like, you listed so many different things that nobody expects anything to go wrong, right? Like,
Never.
Nobody does.
It's all
everything
rainbow.
It's all rainbows. You've got your business plan, it's going to work this way, and everything you've said, like, it's all very, very hard. Like, even with the shipping with COVID, I remember people were, like, freaking out because you ordered all those earrings, and then they would get stuck in a container somewhere.
Yeah.
And, like, not get delivered, right? So
yeah, we're lucky. Jewelry is small and we can airship everything. So
yes.
12,000 pairs of earrings was in a box, like a 4-foot box. So we got really lucky. But our packaging, on the other hand, comes by ocean. So then you're dealing with that. I have jewelry, but I don't have the beautiful box for it to go in. So there's always something. But I feel like one of my strengths is pivoting and adapting to what the business needs.
I think honestly, that needs to be a strength always as an entrepreneur. The number of times that I've pivoted is insane. And I, like, even just said the other day, I'm like, when does the pivoting stop? Like,
Never.
I think I've pivoted enough lately. I think we can put a pin in it for a bit.
Yeah, I don't want to pivot quite as much as we have the last few years. But I will say it keeps it exciting. It keeps it, sometimes a pivot is good. Sometimes changing and growth and starting something new and changing direction. I find those new creative outlets sometimes a positive thing.
I actually think that every pivot that I've ever done has been a positive and successful one. Like, when you look back, you're like, oh, what came of that was even better. And
I cannot. I've had some pivots that were fails. I will say. Yeah. But, one in particular. But it's because I just being completely transparent. Not all pivots work, for sure. But thankfully, most of them have. Yeah.
Yeah. See, my biggest pivot was I was doing events full time, and then COVID came, right? So my business, like, stopped, gone.
Right.
And so I pivoted and created a social media agency. And at the time, like, that was the worst thing that ever happened. Not creating the agency, but that my business, like, was just gone, and my identity gone with it. And looking back, that was the best thing. Like, I love it because now I have I love what I do. I'm able to be even more flexible because weddings are evenings and weekends and
Yes.
all summer long and all Christmas. So those are your busy times. You miss like key points with your family, right? So
Definitely, for sure. Actually,
yeah.
my biggest pivot fail was when I was strictly doing wholesale at the time. And I can be transparent and laugh about it now, but at the time it was really scary. So I was just doing wholesale, and I was approached by a really big showroom in the US to start selling my brand, and they wanted to do it. They had all these big plans, and they seemed very legit. They had a lot of really good American brands and Canadian brands in their showroom. So based on that and some good advice from other people I really trusted, I designed a lot of a lot of pieces and invested in a lot of inventory for this showroom. And then pretty shortly after, they went bankrupt. And so I had all of this inventory and nowhere to sell it because I had wholesalers, but the amount of inventory would not, like, it was just too much for them to take. So I decided, okay, I have to sell this now myself. How am I going to do that? And we did holiday pop-ups. I don't know if you remember, we did our holiday pop-up with Poppy Barley and Jasic in Manulife Place across from Fruit. And that was in response to me having inventory that I needed to move. So I thought, I'm going to gather some of my friends and we're going to sell this inventory. And we ended up selling most of it. And from those sales, we were able to open our store in Edmonton.
Okay, so was that a pivot fail, or was that a pivot that turned something amazing?
Well, at the time, it seemed like a major pivot fail. I thought, how did this happen? And I had a lot of sleepless nights. And when you're at that point, I had really only just been reinvesting the money that I was making, but I had taken out a loan and had all of this inventory and had to pay money back. And I never, ever, ever want to put my family at risk or livelihoods or, that part of it is very scary. So I took it very seriously and I just got into action, and it has that pivot fail actually helped build our retail.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a really important part of the business.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it also really showed you like what you're able to do, right? Because if I like to stay in that, like I don't like taking loans, and I like to stay comfortable financially, right? Yeah. When you're comfortable financially, you can make moves, but I wouldn't make like a giant move. I mean, as much as that really probably was very uncomfortable financially, it was such a game changer pivot move for you.
Yeah,
right? Like
it really was.
It forced you to push.
Yeah. It definitely did. I'll never put myself in that position again. I will say that.
Yes.
But in business, you do need to take risk in order to be successful. So, will I again? Maybe. But yeah, I have some trauma from it, but I'm okay.
Yeah. And rightly so. Because again, it pushed you out of your comfort zone. You knew you were capable of doing it, but you're like, we are good with that one. We can check that off the box. We don't need to revisit it.
A learning, teachable moment.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the collections you've been launching. I love that you've got the holiday collection. You've had your 12 days collection. You've now got the Frenchie holiday. They're just so they're so beautiful, such beautiful collections. But the way you launch them is so nice to see. Like, it's just so welcoming, and you're including your community within it. And I love the emails that like prep everybody to let them know that it's coming. You can kind of like plan your buy in advance. So how do you keep connected with your customers during such busy seasons of launching your collections?
Well, firstly, I have to thank our team too. We have Tasha, who's in our marketing, and Hannah, who's our art director. They both work tirelessly and have amazing ideas. And it's definitely a group effort. But we sat down ahead of the summer and said, what do we want to do? What do the collections look like? Of course, we look at the economy and like how people are buying and what they're wanting and what's missing in our collections. And I would say this season was the hardest for me to design in the history of all my design. I really fretted about it because of the economy. And I went back and forth, and should we do this and should we do that? And I've always had more designs in my head than we could actually launch. It's never been, and so that's not a problem for me. It's at the end of the day, what will ultimately keep the business really healthy and what will be successful, so that we can keep keep the team the size that it is and keep growing. And so we were very methodical. To get back to your question, we were really methodical about what we wanted to launch and why, how we were going to launch it. And that doesn't mean we don't take pivots. And even the day before, we're still changing some things and tweaking things. But we really wanted our 12 Days series is our limited edition series. And that is really fun because it's based on all of our customer requests through the year. So we've done that for quite a few years, and it's done really, really well. Most of it is already sold out, which is great. And then we also wanted a really great gifting series where you could build your own pieces. So we launched that in the fall, well ahead of Christmas, but to get people excited about buying something and creating their own piece and something really unique that isn't like anything out there. And then, so we wanted a build your own series. We wanted a limited edition series. We want, of course, our collaboration with Tori from Fresh Living, which is very classic, very wearable, really timeless. So we try to really hit different points while still being really on brand.
Yeah. I think that's a hard thing to do, because I think as a creative, you get an idea and you want to design it. But I really like how you are thinking seasonally. You're thinking about the economy. You're thinking about what will do well, but also like creating that timeless piece that people will love over and over again. Like, you really put a lot more effort in than I bet your customer realizes goes into it.
Our price point, because we're in the attainable luxury category, we're not in the costume jewelry. We do have some fine jewelry now, which we're really proud of, but the majority of our pieces our transaction is around $170. So that's our average transaction. So it's not super expensive. It's not like you're buying a $3,000 necklace, but it's also not costume jewelry. So we want our pieces to last a really long time, but still be affordable and really giftable, and jewelry that you can wear for years and years, and it's not going to end up in the landfill. Our brand, I've never used anything but precious metals and really good gemstones. So we just want to make products that last and that are affordable but feel very luxurious still.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so what is your favorite item that you've ever designed?
Oh, that I get that asked all the time, and I can't answer it. It's like choosing between my children.
Yeah.
What I will say is there are items that seasonally I pick out of each collection, and I wear them over and over and over again. And the fun thing about fashion and our jewelry, because of the price point, after a year or two, if you want to freshen it up and add new things, you can afford to do that. So right now, I love our charm series that you can kind of build all of your own stories. So I've got a few of those charms. I've got the new charm from Tori's series with one of our oval link necklaces. And then I've got one of our tennis necklaces on. I've got a lot of jewelry on, but I mix. I'm a creature of habit by season. So for probably like 3 to 6 months, I'll wear pieces pretty regularly. And then as we launch new items, I get super excited about them. And then but I will say I'm super proud of our collections because you can layer them so easily. Mm-hmm. I wear pieces that, like I'm wearing this, it's a cranberry quartz ring.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that is 5 years old. It
really?
Was one of our first 12 Days collections that we launched. And I've got it with one of our new 12 Days rings. So I feel like because our designs are not, we dip into trends, but we're not really heavy into trends. You can wear them for years and years and years and layer them and add and have fun. And
I really like on your social media. You don't? No.
No.
I figured that was a tricky one to ask. But I love on your social media how you will show what you're wearing that day. Like you'll show your outfit, but you'll be like,
The jewelry outfit of the day, I call it.
Yes, I really like that. Especially when you're layering like that. Layering can be something people avoid. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that it's nice that you show how to do it and then they can just go and buy it right from you.
And I love how
there's no searching.
Like the team in the stores, Rachel, who's in her mid-20s, or we have Maddie, who's in university, so she's 18. I love seeing how they layer things, and they do it in such a different way than I do, whether they're mixing metals or we get them to shoot videos too. But I do love sharing the jewelry of the day. It's a lot of fun for me, and I enjoy it. So I hope it comes across as being authentic and gives people ideas, and I do see the engagement on those, and it's nice. It's all the hearts and people liking them. It makes me feel good. It makes my week for sure.
Well, it's because you've got great style also. Like every time you've done it, like the jewelry is always on point, but then I'm like, oh, and those jeans are so cute. Where are those jeans from? Like the whole outfit, you're like, oh, I really like everything just looks so good.
I love fashion. Like my style, I would say, is more, I dip into trends, but I really like things that are really well made and pretty classic, but like it's got those small details that are different that you wouldn't quite think of. So not on trend, but just a detail. You're like, oh, I love the stitching in that, or I love the little sleeve detail, or oh, I never thought to have a sweatshirt that was a little shorter and not a long sleeve, or and I think there's some designers that do that really, really well that I love. I try to shop as local as much as I can, but when I go on holidays, I shop too sometimes, just because of time. But I do love fashion. It's part of why I do what I do.
Yeah, you can tell. You can see even like the details that you love in your clothes. You can see how you're adding those details in the jewelry.
Thank you.
Okay, my last question for you is, what advice or a message would you like to leave our community?
Oh, you know what? I just want to thank Edmonton so much. It's our 20th year as a company, and I will say Edmonton inspires me, in St. Albert and surrounding communities really, really inspires me. We have so many creatives in this city, and the women that I'm friends with, whether it's the girls from Poppy Barley or Jacqueline from JASIC or Lane from Pure Botanicals, who we share one of our storefronts with. I think we're just a hotbed of creativity and risk takers and hard workers, and our customers that have been with us for so long. I admire Edmonton for its resilience, and it's a great place to live and raise a family. And I just want to thank our city for being so supportive for us, because I wouldn't have this business without them. So that would be my parting words. Thank you, Edmonton and St. Albert and everyone, for being so awesome.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Because you know what? Your community they just love you. Like they just adore what you've created, the community that you've created, the message that goes behind your jewelry. Like every single piece that I have is special. Like it has a special meaning for me. So I think it's really, it's a beautiful thing that comes with your business and your brand and what you've created.
Thank you. Well, every piece has a name. So we do sell a lot of pieces based on those names and the sentimentality of them. So I'm happy that it's translating.
Yeah. And I love when you've designed the pink pieces.
Those pinks. Those hot pink pieces a few years ago, we sold out of them like so many times. They're so lovely.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I set an alarm. I have the studs and then I got the hoops, but I had to set an alarm for them.
I know. We don't have very many on our website right now. They're obviously sold out, but we like to do that too. We do these like little these little bit launches, and then they sell out. And we don't bring them back all the time because we want them to be special and unique and not be, none of our stuff is mass produced. So I like that exclusivity of it.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, it makes it even more special that you've had it. And I don't know when I got this, but I love this one, this whole collection. I think the only thing I didn't get was the bracelet.
Yeah.
but I got everything else.
You got everything else. I think we have the bracelet now. If you want, we think we have that.
Okay,
Yeah.
where can our listeners find you?
So they can find us on our website. If you go to sopretty.ca, that automatically goes to our soprettycaracotter.com. So they can find us there. We're on Instagram and TikTok and all the social media. And then, of course, our 2 storefronts. So we have Edmonton, which is on 124th Street, and St. Albert, which is on Perron Street. So 2 locations. Hopefully one day we're in Calgary or Toronto or Vancouver. I would love that. But keep supporting us and we'll be able to grow.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so thankful you came on today. It was just such a nice way to like learn more about your business and learn more about like what you're loving, some of the struggles, the community aspect. I love the collaboration part of it. Like I just think what you're creating, what you're doing is so from the heart, and the messaging, like everything is just, I've just loved it. I've loved it since the beginning, and I'm so thankful that you came on here today to share it with everyone else.
Well, thank you so much, and I have to thank my team. Though I have a really good team, so it's not a solo effort by any means. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me today.
All right. Well, thank you very much. All right. That conversation was so good. So good. Okay, I wanted to dive into a little bit of the takeaways from it. I just loved the conversation about collaboration, and not so much about who she's collaborating with, but how did those partnerships come about? Like, she really, really puts a lot of thought and effort into who she wants to align her brand with. She wants to make sure that they are a good partner for her, that their values align with her, that they're going to showcase her product the way she wants it to be showcased, like with the love and the heart that's involved with it. And so I think that the way she has done that is beautiful. And I think it's a really good thing for a lot of businesses to think about when they're deciding who they want to partner with and collaborate with, and really nurture those people that you want to collaborate with, and make sure that they are the right people that love your brand. I've said this over and over again, but if you want somebody to partner with you and you want them to deliver, like to promote your product and share it with their audience, they need to love it like almost as much as you do, because the more they love it, the more they're going to want to talk about it. It's not going to feel like, well, this is what I agreed to do and I'm going to post it once and then that's it. No, they're going to talk about it over and over and over again, and how they're wearing it, and all the details of like how they're styling it, what their outfit they're wearing with, if they're gifting it. We want them to just really love it. And then it's easier for people to talk about your product if they really adore the product, the person, the brand, everything, right? So really think about who you're collaborating with and create partnerships with people that are perfectly aligned with you. Okay, the other one I want to talk about is the events aspect. We all know that I love events, and I loved the way she spoke about it because it's so close to how I like to do events. I love how she thinks like every touch point is something special. It's all in those details. And I always say this, but those details, as small as they seem, are those little points that make your audience, your community feel even more welcome. So by greeting them with, here, would you like a glass of champagne or a non-alcoholic cocktail? Those are really special things. That means that I want you to feel welcome. I want you to step in and enjoy, but also feel the moment you come in that we are like wrapping our arms around you and bringing you into our brand community and making you feel at home. Like that is the biggest thing. But then like it continuing throughout the entire event, like what other details can she add? Like her food that she had at that open house was so cute and beautiful. So you wanted to just like go and I actually did go and take a screenshot of it, like a story of it, because it was so pretty and well thought out, which just really aligns with her brand. So every single detail that she put into her events aligned with her brand, but they also aligned with creating an experience. So when you do any event, the experience is what people walk away from. And I walked away from that event just celebrating her so much more, but really feeling fully immersed and welcomed into what So Pretty is all about, and the feeling of it, the feeling of the jewelry. And I loved that part of the conversation, because I teach events and I teach how to incorporate them into your business, and the details that she puts in to create the whole experience is exactly what it is all about. And then finally, I want to talk about the pivot portion. I think that's so powerful, because we as entrepreneurs, We go through a lot of pivots, a lot of shifts, a lot of changes. Nothing is ever straightforward. And I mean, in a way, sometimes that's really good. Sometimes it's really, really hard. And when you look back, like when we look back at her pivot fail, it really isn't a pivot fail because something absolutely incredible came out of it. So we could say that my pivot fail was, it's not even a pivot fail, but my fail for me would have been my business crumbling. It's not my fault that happened, but to me, that is my pivot. And it felt awful at the time, like just horrible. But when you look back at it and you go, but because of this, I got to do this. Or because of this, I created a social media agency and I love this business. Or because of this, she was able to get a storefront. Like there's so many things that we go through in businesses and they can be really hard and they can take you out. But if we push through and we persevere and we are resilient, what comes out on the other side is something so beautiful and something you could never have expected or maybe had like in your one day vision that you were going to do, but it was not anything that you thought would be coming as soon as it did, right? Like we never know what these pivots can create. And so I just want to encourage you to even look at like, there's my story, there's her story, look at your own story. No matter what in your business, when you do a pivot, even if it's hard, something beautiful will come of it. And even if you don't even realize it until it gets like talked about on a podcast. But yeah, today was incredible. The conversation was so good. And it just speaks so much to the brand that Cara's created with So Pretty, the community, the product. She puts so much attention to detail in every single thing she does. And it's really kind of cool to see behind the scenes of how the business works. So I loved that. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Bold Entrepreneur Podcast. I hope you're walking away with inspiration, fresh insights, and a few takeaways to fuel your journey. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other bold founders and entrepreneurs in your circle. And when you're ready to elevate your business, check out the Bold Founders Collective. From community support to strategic resources and personalized coaching, we are here to help you thrive. Remember, the bold moves you make today will shape the future you're dreaming of. So stay tuned for our next episode where we'll dive into deeper stories of strategies and mindset shifts that all make the difference. Until next time, stay bold, keep dreaming, and keep moving towards what lights you up.